Okay, all right. Can you see the screen in slide mode?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, all right. We'll begin with our lecture. So today's lecture is on the anatomy of leg. So in anatomy of leg, today we'll be studying the muscles present in the leg, the blood vessels which is present in the interior compartment of leg, and the nerve which supplies all the muscles present in the leg. So here you can see these are the two bones, that is the tibia and fibula. These are the two bones which is present in the leg. And in anatomy, leg is that part of the lower extremity which extends between the knee and the ankle. So the region between the knee and the ankle, that portion of the lower extremity, it is known as the leg. In leg there are three compartments, that is the anterior compartment or extensor compartment, lateral compartment or peroneal compartment, and the posterior compartment or the flexor compartment. Three compartments are there. So in this leg you can see two bones are there. This is the tibia bone and the fibula bone. So these are the two bones which is present in the leg. So just we'll briefly see this bone, the features present in this bone. So here you can see this is the largest, second largest bone and strongest bone in the body, that is the tibia, and it is the bone present in the medial aspect of the leg. So it is the long bone, so it is having this upper end, this is the shaft, and this is the lower end. This bone is the fibula. It is again the upper end, this is the shaft, and this is the lower end of the fibula. In the upper end of this tibia, there are two condyles, medial condyle, lateral condyle, and there is the tibial tuberosity. In the lower end, here you can see this is the medial malleolus. Three borders are there. Here you can see this border is the anterior border or shin border. Then there will be the interosseous border or lateral border. Then medial border will be there. In fibula, again here you can see this is the head of the fibula and stellate process of fibula. This is the lateral malleolus. In the fibula lower end, there is the bony elevation, that is the lateral malleolus. This portion is the shaft of the fibula. Again in this shaft there is the anterior border, interosseous border, and interosseous border or the medial border and the lateral border. So three borders, three surfaces are present in the fibula, three borders and three surfaces are present in the tibia. Here you can see in this figure, this is the tibia bone, this is the fibula bone. Both interosseous border of the tibia and fibula, they are connected with each other with the interosseous membrane. This interosseous membrane is holding both interosseous border of tibia and fibula. And you can see there is one small oval opening in the upper part of the interosseous membrane. Here you can see there is a small oval opening through which the anterior tibial vessels will pass. So these are the features present in the tibia and fibula. So coming to the topic of this today's lecture. So in today's lecture we will be studying the anterior compartment of leg. So already I have told you there are three compartments in the leg. So here you can see this is the cross section of the left leg. So be oriented, this is the tibia bone. This is the tibia bone, this is the fibula bone, and here you can see this structure. This structure is the interosseous membrane. So interosseous membrane is connecting both interosseous border of tibia and fibula. Now extensor compartment of leg, it is the anterior compartment of the leg, which is between this deep fascia of the leg, between the deep fascia of the leg and the interosseous membrane. So this region is the anterior compartment of the leg. This larger compartment is the posterior compartment of the leg, whereas this small compartment which is located laterally, that is the lateral compartment of leg. Now the extensor compartment of the leg, it is bounded on the medial, it is bounded by this extensor surface of the tibia. Medial it is bounded by the tibia bone, surface of the tibia bone. Lateral it is bounded by the extensive surface of the tibia, this fibula bone, and this anterior intermuscular septum, whereas this is the posterior intermuscular septum. So the boundaries, what are the boundaries of anterior compartment of the leg? Anterior it is bounded by the deep fascia of the leg, posteriorly by interosseous membrane, medially by the extensor surface of the tibia bone, laterally by the extensor surface of fibula bone, and anterior intermuscular septum. So this region is the anterior compartment of the leg. It consists tibialis anterior muscle, extensor digitorum longus muscle, extensor hallucis longus muscle, and peroneus statius muscle, which is not seen in this figure. Whereas this compartment, this is the lateral compartment. This lateral compartment is between anterior intermuscular septum and this posterior intermuscular septum, whereas towards this posterior to the posterior intermuscular septum and interosseous membrane, this large portion, this is the posterior compartment, also known as flexor compartment of the leg. So as usual, the contents present in the interior compartment, every compartment has its own muscles. Muscles are present there, blood vessels are present there, the nerves are present there. So in interior compartment, here you can see 4 muscles are there. So the muscles, they are the tibialis anterior. Here you can see tibialis anterior is there. Then extensor hallucis longus, this muscle. This tendon, here you can see extensor hallucis longus. Then this muscle, extensor digitorum longus, and a small muscle is present here, peroneus tortuous. So there are 4 muscles present in the interior compartment of the leg. They are the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus, peroneus tortuous. There is one blood vessels which will supply all the structures present in the interior compartment of leg, that is the interior tibial vessels. Interior tibial vessels, this interior tibial vessels is the one of the terminal branch of the popliteal artery. We will study this later. Then these all structures are innervated by the deep peroneal nerve. Here you can see this structure, this is the deep peroneal nerve. So deep peroneal nerve will innervate all these muscles which is present in the interior compartment of leg. So we will study the all muscles under following headings: origin, insertion, nerve supply, and action. So tibialis anterior, here you can see this muscle. So be oriented, this is the tibia bone. This is the tibia bone. This bone is the fibula bone. So on the lateral surface of tibia bone, this is the medial surface. On the lateral surface, you can see this muscle. This muscle is the tibialis anterior. Very important muscle present in the interior compartment of leg, that is the tibialis anterior. Now it is arising from this tibia, this part of the tibia. This is the lateral condyle. Here you can see this is the lateral condyle. This is the fibula, head of the fibula. So origin of tibialis anterior, it is from this lateral condyle of the tibia, from upper 2/3 of the lateral surface of the tibia, from the upper 2/3 of the lateral surface of the tibia, adjoining interosseous membrane, and also from the fascia, deep fascia of the leg. So these are the origin of this tibialis anterior. Again I will repeat, the origin of tibialis anterior is from this lateral condyle of the tibia, upper 2/3 of the lateral surface of the shaft of the tibia, then adjoining interosseous membrane and the deep fascia of the upper part of the leg. So after its origin, it will insert in the dorsum of the foot. It will insert in this foot, articulated foot, in this oriented in this articulated foot. These are the tarsal bone. These are the metatarsal bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 metatarsal. This is the first metatarsal, and these are the phalanges. So these are the metatarsal. These are the tarsal. These are the metatarsal. This is your medial cuneiform, intermediate lateral cuneiform, then cuboid bone, navicular. This is the talus, and inferiorly there will be the calcaneum bone. So insertion of tibialis anterior, it is in the base of the first metatarsal bone. So this is the base of the metatarsal bone. The features present in this metatarsal bone, this is the head, this is the shaft, and this portion is the base. So base of the metatarsal of this first metatarsal bone provides insertion to the tibialis anterior. And some of the tendon will also insert in the inferior-medial aspect of this medial cuneiform bone. So insertion is in the medial cuneiform bone also. Insertion is in this base of first metatarsal bone. So origin from this lateral condyle of tibia, then upper 2/3 of the lateral surface of the tibia, interosseous membrane, and the fascia present in the upper part of the leg. Insertion is in the base of the first metatarsal bone and medial cuneiform bone. This muscle is innervated by the deep peroneal nerve. The action of this muscle, here you can see it is inserted on the base of the first metatarsal bone. So the action of this muscle is dorsiflexion. Here you can see this action. This action is the dorsiflexion. This movement is the plantar flexion, and this movement is the dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion of the foot at the ankle joint. This joint is the ankle joint. So this action is the dorsiflexion. So action of this tibialis anterior muscle is dorsiflexion. It will also maintain the medial longitudinal arch. If you see this foot on the lateral aspect, there is the lateral longitudinal arch. On the medial aspect, you will see the medial longitudinal arch. So it will also support the medial longitudinal arch. There are two arches, medial longitudinal arch and lateral longitudinal arch. Later you will study these arches. So this medial longitudinal arch is maintained by this tibialis anterior. Other muscles are also there, but mainly it is maintained by this tibialis anterior. Now it is also the evator of foot. Here you can see evator. Two actions are there, evator and evator. Evator means the medial border. The medial border of foot is above the ground. Only the lateral border is in the ground, on the ground, but the medial border is above the ground. That is the inverter. Evator means the medial border of the foot is on the ground, whereas the lateral border of foot is above the ground. So don't get confused between inverter and evator. Inverter means towards medially, evator means towards laterally. Inverter means medial border of foot is above the ground, whereas evator is medial border of foot is above the ground. So three actions are seen here. One action is the dorsiflexion, maintenance of the medial longitudinal arch, and evator of foot. These are the three actions of tibialis anterior muscle. Coming to the next muscle, that is the extensor digitorum longus. Here in this figure you can see this muscle is the extensor digitorum longus. So this extensor digitorum longus, it is arising from this part of the tibia, from the lateral condyle of the tibia. It is taking origin from the head of the fibula. It is also originating from the upper 3/4 of the medial surface of the fibula, shaft of the fibula, upper 3/4 of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula, and also from this adjoining interosseous membrane. So adjoining interosseous membrane, upper 3/4 of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula, head of the fibula, and the lateral condyle of the tibia. These all structures will provide origin to the extensor digitorum longus, along with the fascia of the upper part of the leg. So again, I would like to repeat the origin of extensor digitorum longus. It is taking origin from this lateral condyle of tibia, head of the fibula, upper 3/4 of the medial surface of the fibula, and the adjoining interosseous membrane. Now you will see this muscle, it will form this tendon. This tendon is passing through this ankle joint, in front of the ankle joint. Then this tendon will divide into 4 slips. Here you can see these are the 4 slips. Extensor digitorum longus means it will give 4 tendons. This for the lateral photos, it is giving these 4 tendons. So these 4 tendons, here you can see these 4 tendons will reach to the dorsum of the foot. On reaching the dorsum of the foot, these 4 tendons, it will form the dorsal digital expansion. Here you can see this is the extensor hood or dorsal digital expansion, which also provides attachment to the lumbricals. Small worm-like muscles will be there, which will insert in this lumbricals. They are the lumbricals which will inserted in this extensor digital expansion or dorsal digital expansor, also known as extensor hood. Now at the proximal interphalangeal joints, here you can see there are proximal and distal interphalangeal joints. So at the proximal interphalangeal joints, this dorsal digital expansion, it will form 3 bands. This tendon, this 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 tendons will divide into 3 bands. One is the median band, and these are the 2 collateral bands. So here we have to remember this after dorsal digital expansion, this tendon will divide into extensor digitorum longus tendon will divide into 3 bands. One is the median band and 2 collateral bands are there. Now this median band will insert into the middle of in the base of the medial phalanx. At the base of the medial phalanx there is the insertion of median band, whereas these 2 collateral bands, will insert on the base of the terminal phalanx. That is the base of the distal phalanx. So base of the medial phalanx and base of the terminal phalanx will provide insertion for the extensor digitorum longus. So extensor digitorum longus, remember we have 4 tendons for the lateral photos. This is the great toe, second, third. This is the great toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth. For the lateral photos, there is the tendon for extensor digitorum longus. Again, I will like to repeat the insertion of extensor digitorum longus is in the median slip is in the base of the medial phalanx, whereas 2 collateral slip will insert into the base of the terminal phalanx or the distal phalanx. Again, this muscle, it is innervated by the deep peroneal knob. Deep peroneal knob is the knob of the anterior compartment of the leg. Again, here you can see this muscle action. This muscle is dorsiflexion of the foot at the ankle joint. It will also dorsiflex the lateral photos. The action is dorsiflexion of the lateral photos. So dorsiflexion of the foot. Here you can see this action is the dorsiflexion. If you raise this above, this is the dorsiflexion. If you take this backward, this is the plantar flexion. So dorsiflexion, tibialis anterior action is also dorsiflexion. Extensor digitorum longus action is also dorsiflexion. Coming to the third muscles, which is present in the anterior compartment, here you can see this muscle. This is the extensor hallucis longus. Extensor hallucis longus. So it is taking origin from the shaft. Again, it is taking origin from the medial surface of the shaft, from the middle 2/4 of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula, and also the interosseous membrane. Interosseous membrane is holding both interosseous border of tibia and fibula. So the origin of extensor hallucis longus is from the middle of the 2/4 of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula and from the adjoining interosseous membrane. Now this muscle, again it will form this tendon, and this tendon will insert in the base of the terminal phalanx. It will insert into the base of the terminal phalanx for great toe. Hallucis means this toe, great toe. Extensor hallucis longus. So this tendon will insert into the great toe. So base of the terminal phalanx of the great toe will provide insertion to extensor hallucis longus, whereas extensor digitorum longus tendon will insert into the lateral toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So the lateral four toes provides insertion for the extensor digitorum longus, whereas extensor hallucis longus will insert into this great toe, base of the terminal phalanx of great toe. And remember, this extensor hallucis longus, it will not form the dorsal digital expansion. So only the dorsal digital expansion, it is formed by extensor digitorum longus tendon, not by this extensor hallucis longus. Again, nerve supply is the same, deep peroneal nerve. Here you can see this deep peroneal nerve is here. This is the deep peroneal nerve. So this deep peroneal nerve will supply all the muscles present on the interior compartment of leg. Again, action, remember it will only dorsiflex the great toe because its insertion is in the great toe. So it will only dorsiflex the great toe, whereas the dorsiflexion of the lateral four toes is done by this extensor digitorum longus muscle because it has four tendons for the lateral four toes. This muscle, another action, it will stress the plantar aponeurosis. During the lecture of the soul, you will study this plantar aponeurosis. It is the strong, this thickening of the deep fascia in this foot. There is the thickening of the deep fascia, that is the plantar aponeurosis. Later we will study in details about this plantar aponeurosis. So it will stress the plantar aponeurosis, and it will also increase the medial, this longitudinal arch, the concavity of the medial longitudinal arch. So after stretching the plantar aponeurosis, there is increase in the concavity of the medial longitudinal arch. So these are the two actions. Another muscles you are seeing is the peroneus tortuous. In this figure you can see this is the peroneus tortuous. So it is taking origin from the lower 1/4 of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula. Remember, all this medial surface of the shaft of the fibula and adjoining interosseous membrane will give origin to the muscles. So from the lower part of the medial surface of the shaft of the fibula, there is the origin of peroneus tortuous. Now it will insert, it will again form the tendon, and it will insert in the base of this fifth metatarsal bone. So the tendon is inserted into the base of the fifth metatarsal bone. The nerve supply of this muscle is again the deep peroneal nerve. Deep peroneal nerve will supply this muscle. Action, it is the dorsiflexor of the ankle joint. Action is dorsiflexion of the ankle joint, and it is the evator. It is on the towards the lateral side, so its action is evator of the foot. So we have studied the four muscles: tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus, and the peroneus tortuous. Coming to the artery, here you can see in this figure. This figure is the anterior tibial artery. So anterior tibial artery, it is one of the terminal branch of the popliteal artery. As you know, popliteal artery at its reaches to the popliteal fossa, it terminates into two divisions, anterior tibial artery and the posterior tibial artery. Now this anterior tibial artery formation is in the lower border of the popliteus muscle. After emerging from the lower border of the popliteus muscle, it will pass through the two head of tibialis posterior muscle. Tibialis posterior muscle is the muscle present in the posterior compartment of leg. So between the two heads of tibialis posterior, now it will pass through this oval opening present in the interosseous membrane. After passing through this oval opening, now this will run inferiorly and it is present in the interior compartment of the leg. So initially it is on the popliteal fossa. After the termination, it is passing through the two heads of the tibialis posterior. It is passing through this oval opening present in the interosseous membrane. After passing this, it comes to the interior aspect of the leg. And in this opening, it is related just medially to this neck of the fibula. On the lateral aspect of the neck of the fibula, there is the common peroneal nerve. On the medial aspect, there is the this interior tibial artery. Now, this interior tibial artery, it will supply all the structures present here. It is present in the lower part of the leg between this medial malleolus and lateral malleolus. It is resting on the lower end of the tibia. After that, it will enter into the dorsum of the foot, where it is continuing as the dorsalis pedis artery. So dorsalis pedis artery is the artery of the this. That is the so anterior tibial artery. You have to remember coming from the terminal branch of the popliteal artery, and it will the artery of the interior compartment of the leg, and it will continue as the dorsalis pedis artery. And throughout its course, it is related just medially to this peroneal nerve, deep peroneal nerve. It is related medially to the deep peroneal nerve. What are the branches coming from this tibial artery? Here you can see posterior tibial artery, posterior tibial recurrent, and anterior tibial recurrent. So anterior tibial recurrent, posterior tibial recurrent, these arteries will take part in the anastomosis with the genicular branches of the popliteal artery. They are taking part in the anastomosis with the genicular branches of the popliteal artery. Whereas muscular branches will supply all these muscles. They are the muscular branches. Then we have two branches, that is the medial malleolar artery and lateral malleolar artery. Here you can see medial malleolar artery will take part in the anastomosis around the medial malleolus, whereas lateral malleolar artery will take part in the lateral malleolar network around the lateral malleolus. So medial malleolar artery, lateral malleolar artery, muscular branches are there, and the posterior tibial recurrent and anterior tibial recurrent arteries. These will take part in the anastomosis with the genicular branches of the popliteal artery. Coming to the nerve, deep peroneal nerve. Here you can see in this figure, this is the deep peroneal nerve. Now, what is deep peroneal nerve? It is one of the branch of the common peroneal nerve. You know, sciatic nerve is there. Sciatic nerve at its reaches to the popliteal fossa, it divides into tibial component and the common peroneal component. The common peroneal nerve component, as it comes towards the lateral aspect of the neck of the fibula, it divides into two branches. One is the superficial branch of the peroneal nerve, and one is the deep branch of the peroneal nerve. So deep peroneal nerve will supply to the interior compartment of the leg, whereas superficial peroneal nerve will supply the lateral compartment of the leg. So nerve of the interior compartment, that is the deep peroneal nerve. Now, what is deep peroneal nerve? It is the nerve of the interior compartment of the leg and dorsum of the foot also. The root value is ventral rami of L4, L5, S1 and S2. You have to remember the root value for this deep peroneal nerve. It is coming from the ventral rami of L4, L5, S1 and S2 segments of the spinal cord. Now it begins from the lateral side of the neck of the fibula. So on the lateral side of the neck of the fibula, there is the division of common peroneal nerve into deep peroneal nerve and superficial peroneal nerve. Now it enters into the interior compartment. Throughout its course, it runs along the lateral side of this interior tibial artery. It is running towards the lateral side of the interior tibial artery. It will supply all these structures. It will supply all these structures, and it will enter into the dorsum of the foot. And after entering into the dorsum of the foot, it will divide into lateral and medial terminal branches. So lateral terminal branch and the medial terminal branch, they are the terminal branch of this deep peroneal nerve. So what are the structures innervated by this deep peroneal nerve? All these four muscles, tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus, and peroneus tortuous, they are innervated by deep peroneal nerve. Then it will give cutaneous branch, which will supply this area of the leg between this first toe and the second toe. This area between this first wave, that is between the great toe and the second, this area is supplied by this peroneal nerve. This branch is the cutaneous branch. It will also give articular branch to this ankle joint. Articular branch to the ankle joint, that is supplied by this deep peroneal nerve. So root value you have to remember, it is coming from the ventral lemma of L4, L5, S1 and S2. All muscles are innervated by deep peroneal nerve. Cutaneous innervation to this first wave, and there is the in other these structures, all these muscles, and this ankle joint that is also innervated by this deep peroneal nerve. Applied aspect, there is the fracture of the neck of the fibula results into the foot drop. Foot drop means, here in this figure you can see, if there is injury to the common peroneal nerve, it results into the foot drop. In this figure you can see the toes do not clear from the ground during swing phase of the walking. This condition is known as the foot drop. Very important applied aspect. Fracture of the neck of the fibula will result to the injury to the common peroneal nerve, and it will result into the foot drop. Another applied aspect is the shin splits. Shin splits, that will cause to the edema and pain in the area of the distal two-third of the tibia, and it is especially seen in the athletics. It results from the repetitive microtrauma of the tibialis anterior. There is the microtrauma of the tibialis anterior. It results into shin splits. Tibia is also known as the shin bone, so it results into shin splits. So it is mainly caused by the traumatic injury or athletic overextension of the muscle of the anterior compartment that will result into the shin splits. Another applied aspect is the anterior leg syndrome. Here you can see it is the anterior leg syndrome. That means the excessive accumulation of tissue fluid in the anterior compartment of the leg. If there is excessive accumulation of the fluid in the anterior compartment of the leg, that is known as anterior leg syndrome. So anterior leg syndrome, it is mainly caused by marked extension. So marked extension will lead to anterior leg syndrome. So if there is increased fluid pressure, it will cause deep pain. It will cause deep itching pain, and this pain will become more severe during the dorsiflexion of the foot. During the dorsiflexion of the foot, it becomes more severe. And what are the features present here? The venous deaminage will be low, venous return will be low, that is venous return will be diminished. Arterial pulsation will be not visible of dorsalis pedis artery, and loss of cutaneous sensation. These are the features. Venous return is diminished, arterial pulsation of the dorsalis pedis artery will disappear, and loss of cutaneous sensation. These are the features in anterior leg syndrome. In the dorsum of the foot, here you can see one muscle will be present there, and two thickening of the deep fascia is there. That is the superior extensor retinaculum and inferior extensor retinaculum. Now we are briefly discussing about the structures present in the dorsum of the foot. Superior extensor retinaculum, this structure is the superior extensor retinaculum, and this is the inferior extensor retinaculum. Superior extensor retinaculum, it is the thickening of the deep fascia which extends from anterior border of the fibula to the interior border of the tibia. All these tendons of the interior compartment of muscles are passing beneath this superior extensor retinaculum. Inferiorly, there is another Y-shaped thickening. This is known as inferior extensor retinaculum. So the attachment of this inferior extensor retinaculum, again here you can see calcaneum bone is there. So the Y-shaped structure, stem of this Y, it is attached to the calcaneum bone. Whereas this upper band and this lower band, upper band will attach to this medial malleolus of the tibia, whereas lower band it will insert in this plantar aponeurosis. Plantar aponeurosis is the thick fascia of the this foot. So we have two thickenings, superior extensor retinaculum and inferior extensor retinaculum. These are the structures which are attached to this tibia and the fibula bone. All the tendons present here, they are passing deep to this extensor retinaculum. Again, I will try to repeat the tendons. Here you can see tibialis anterior is there. From medial to lateral, they are arranged. Tibialis anterior, extensor hallucis longus, anterior tibial vein, anterior tibial artery, extensor digitorum longus, and peroneus tortuous. So these are the four tendons. They are arranged from medial to lateral. Again, I will repeat. Tibialis anterior is there. Then there is the extensor hallucis longus, anterior tibial vein, anterior tibial artery, deep peroneal nerve, extensor digitorum longus, and peroneus tortuous. They are arranged from medial to lateral. These structures are passing beneath this superior extensor retinaculum. There is one muscle which is present in the dorsum of the foot, that is the extensor digitorum brevis. Here you can see extensor digitorum brevis. Now this small muscle will take origin from this calcaneum bone, upper surface of the calcaneum bone. Interior part of the upper surface of the calcaneum bone provides origin to extensor digitorum brevis. Now this insertion, one of the tendon will get insert in the great toe, proximal phalanx of the great toe, and this medial most muscle, that is known as extensor hallucis brevis. This is the extensor hallucis brevis, whereas the remaining three, that will insert into the second, third, and fourth toe in the dorsal digital expansion. So second, third, and fourth tendon will insert into the dorsal digital expansion with the tendon of extensor digitorum longus, whereas this the medial one will insert into the great toe. Again, this muscle it is innervated by deep peroneal nerve. Action will be dorsiflexion of medial foretoes. Dorsiflexion of medial foretoes is the action of extensor digitorum brevis. Only one muscle present in the dorsum of the foot, that is the extensor digitorum brevis. So we will briefly discuss about this dorsalis pedis artery. As you know, this is the anterior tibial artery. After crossing through the ankle joint, it will continue as the dorsalis pedis artery. So this is the dorsalis pedis artery. So dorsalis pedis artery is the chief artery of the dorsum of the foot. It is the continuation of the anterior tibial artery. Now it begins in front of the ankle between this medial malleoli and the lateral malleoli. Now it is passing the dorsum of the foot. Then it will continue as this arcuate artery. This arcuate artery. Now this will give the flowing branch medial tarsal artery, lateral tarsal artery. This medial tarsal artery will take part in medial malleolar network. Lateral tarsal branch will take part in lateral malleolar network. It will give this arcuate artery. It will give this first dorsal metatarsal artery. This is the first dorsal metatarsal artery. Second, third, and fourth dorsal metatarsal artery. They are branches coming from this arcuate artery. So dorsalis pedis artery, it is, you have to remember, it is the artery of the dorsum of the foot. It is the continuation of anterior tibial artery. It will give flowing branches, medial and lateral tarsal artery, first dorsal metatarsal artery, arcuate artery. Second, third, and fourth dorsal metatarsal artery are the branches of the arcuate artery. One of the applied aspect, here you can see the pulse of the dorsalis pedis artery. You can feel the pulse of the dorsalis pedis artery between the tendon of extensor hallucis longus and extensor digitorum longus. Between these two tendons, you can feel the pulse of the dorsalis pedis artery. So one of the applied aspect of this dorsalis pedis artery, the pulsation of the artery can be felt between the tendon of extensor hallucis longus and extensor digitorum longus. In summaries of today's lecture, you have studied 4 muscles: tibialis anterior muscle, then extensor digitorum longus muscle, extensor hallucis muscle, and peroneus tortuous muscle. So these are the 4 extensor muscles. These are the muscles present in the anterior compartment of the leg. These all structures are innervated by this common peroneal nerve. So branch of the common peroneal nerve, that is the deep peroneal nerve. All structures are innervated by deep peroneal nerve. The 2 thickenings are there, that is the superior extensor retinaculum and extensor retinaculum. These all structures are supplied by the anterior tibial artery. Dorsalis pedis artery. Dorsalis pedis artery, it is the branch of the continuation of the anterior tibial artery. So these are the structures present in the anterior compartment of leg. Coming to the MCQ. So all of you just unmute your mic to answer the MCQ. Dear students, just unmute your mic and just answer this MCQ. We are towards the end of today's lecture. So which is the main artery of the anterior compartment of leg?
Anterior tibial.
Anterior tibial.
Yeah, all right. The answer is correct. Anterior tibial artery. Remember, anterior tibial artery is the artery branch of the popliteal artery, and this artery is located in the anterior compartment of leg. So this is the main artery present in the anterior compartment of leg. Another MCQ is name the muscle present on the dorsum of foot. Remember, there is only one muscle which is present in the dorsum of the foot. Extensor digitorum brevis.
Extensor
The
digitorum
answer is
brevis.
this. Extensor digitorum brevis. Only one muscle present in the dorsum of the foot is extensor digitorum brevis. Third MCQ is, which of the following is not an action of tibialis anterior? The tibialis anterior, what are the action of tibialis anterior? Will dorsiflexion of the foot, that is the action of tibialis anterior. Also evator of the foot, it will also maintain the medial longitudinal arch. But it will not maintain the
Lateral longitudinal arc.
So the answer is D. It will not maintain the lateral longitudinal arch. It will not maintain the lateral longitudinal arch. Then another MCQ, that is the foot drop. What is foot drop and which nerve is involved in that? Tibial nerve.
Peroneal nerve.
femoral nerve. Which nerve is there?
Deep peroneal.
Deep peroneal nerve. Correct. Excellent. So foot drop, it is caused by the injury of the deep peroneal nerve. So these are the MCQ in this anterior compartment of leg, and this finished the lecture on the anterior compartment of leg. Thank you. So if you have any doubt, query, just you can comment, and I will try to sort out the doubts. Thank you, class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.